I mean, if you had a different way that you got it. I mean, I'm also going to kind of be looking at Victor when I'm saying this, but like, I will say that if it wasn't for, as I said already, if it wasn't for how fast Victor works, so let's say because he's up here, no AC, no one-man band, pulled his own focus, did his own Zoom, we didn't really have a lot of rehearsal time, already talked about throw Colin in a scene, he can figure out how to make it kind of interesting for 5 minutes. Paul and Mackenzie.
Only 5 minutes. Though.
Like, I will say, while we did
6 minutes, it starts getting dull.
Falls flat. I mean, if it wasn't for everybody who came and did the movie, like, there's a real threat that to try to do this in 10 days was really stupid. And it wouldn't have worked, and it just worked out that, we had a really great group of people who kind of, could figure it out. So more time would be great. I think, like,
more money.
Days. Yeah. Or just maybe like a movie that is meant to be shot in 10 days.
Next time we want to do macro budget.
But I do think then the inverse of that rule is like, obviously, like, I know a lot of people like, oh, I want to make a movie, and then they get together like a bunch of strangers that they've never met in their lives to try to do something, and I just think that is always going to be really tough. And the reason that we were able to kind of figure it out is I think we all had a lot of, trust with each other, and or at least the people behind the camera did. And so it kind of worked out. So work with friends for a long time and then maybe make something on a short schedule, I guess. And thank you for saying nice things about the movie.
You.
Jesse was saying, it's supposed to be like a men's parent. Is there no one on purpose, or is that a coincidence?
Yeah, we think it should be like that. Yeah, that was in the script. There was a line that got cut that points to it more.
I think the joke of it was this idea, because it's such a him problem the whole time, there was this idea of like heightening it kind of at the end of the movie was like, oh, he's in this hall of mirrors of himself, kind of, I think was kind of, the joke. The sequence was hard to shoot, and a bunch of stuff did get cut, and so I feel like I don't know if you're supposed to say stuff like this at the Q&A, like, I think we stepped on the joke a little. But yeah, there used to be more of a thread that there was this idea of like this guy who's like, seems like maybe he's starting some sort of movement, but it's just a movement of himself, and while everyone else is kind of worked up, there was supposed to be more of a running joke of just a guy who felt like, like a guy in high school who threw a party and only guys came. That was kind of what the idea of the joke was supposed to be.
I have a slightly different read on it.
Well, that's okay.
I kind of viewed it, when I read the script, I viewed it more as like, that is the sign of a movement going bad. To me, is, I don't know. I was watching a lot of Adam Curtis docs, and I'm like, yeah, this is how it goes bad. It's just a bunch of guys.
But I feel like because of the way it's edited, I feel like sometimes the joke's like, guys, which I think that's like a little easy, and that wasn't really exactly what it was supposed to be. But hey, that's making a small movie.
Any other questions right there?
You.
No, I said it fast enough to kind of.
But I struggle to phrase this, but there's this sort of like sense of stepping out of time of the movie. I mean, you have these moments of like mask mandate and the vax signs are kind of all about, but like it. How did you create kind of this feeling of like I guess like a separate space? Almost. Do you know what I'm kind of like?
Well, I know who to shout out, and I love getting asked about this because we get to talk about Alexandra Inez, who did all the production design for the movie. And once again, kind of a crazy thing, because this is not normally how you would do a movie, but she did the wardrobe, she did the hair and makeup, she did the sets, like, she just did the whole movie, which is crazy. But the conversation that we basically had before the movie that we both liked was like, it should feel, and it's very easy with Colin's wardrobe that he already owns. we were like, oh, it should be something that someone could have worn in 1976, but they could also you could see someone wearing it tomorrow and you wouldn't go, what, So I think there was this idea of kind of, and I don't know that we were specifically trying to be timeless. Like you said, there's tons of stuff that is so specific to the time, but yeah, I don't know, just all the reference points we were looking at. We looked at a bunch of like Eric Romer movies.
Romer.
Thank you. And I think the reason we were angling that way was there was just this idea of those movies are like beautiful French summers and young people with very like ultimately, low stakes, problems, but it all looks so, gorgeous. And so we thought it would be kind of funny if it was like a very beautiful kind of perfect setting and this guy just can't, it doesn't, help, really, as opposed to it being, drab, I guess. But yeah, I mean, again, cannot emphasize how insane it was that she did, all of that. And I guess a credit to Colin and the rest of the cast for having great clothes in their wardrobe at home that she could go through.
You.
I have a question. Can you talk about the cinematography and like your
Straight to victims.
like what were you thinking? Like what were your references?
Or I guess the visual references, yeah, like you said, Eric Romero was big. Like I beautiful
Romer.
Yeah, just a beautiful New York, and also Robert Altman as well. Like with the zooms, we loved capturing very objectively, and just it was very funny. I think it was also your idea, Ryan, to see everything play out like this was kind of like a play, but also because it was so short. We shot this whole movie, but it was like 10 days, so. That also helped in a way. It was like, oh, we're not seeing so much of the world, so many big wides, so many big sets. So it's very kind of like small pieces of each room, where we're like kind of lighting for smaller areas, whereas it's a lot easier to shoot that way rather than flip the room. So it's really just kind of lighting the space and letting Colin kind of, and the rest of the cast do their thing, and just kind of trying to capture it and do my best to operate it and like anticipate it and all that. So it's really just kind of giving him the space to kind of play, and then blocking naturally towards the, wherever the natural light in the space is, embracing that, augmenting a little bit pieces of the room, and then just kind of, just embracing it, I guess. So that was just kind of the vibe for the whole movie, pretty much.
It was cool. It made it really simple because Victor would just put the camera in the corner of the room, basically, and then he would just be there the whole scene. So.
Yeah.
So that was cool too,
How'd
in
you
a
guys-
practical way.
How'd you guys do the audio for the party scenes then?
Like where was the mic hiding and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Again, the Patrick
That was good.
and Chris Violet who did the sound, that's not what they do for work or anything. They were just really great about. They would just kind of tuck in somewhere weird, or a lot of it. What's nice about this shooting style is because you're never quite on anyone's like proper close up. Like you're not seeing their face so clearly that if anything was ever screwed up, it was pretty easy to do some ADR. And you're only seeing the side of people's face and stuff like that.
A lot of ADR.
Yeah, Colin's sending me a lot of voice notes on his phone. Yeah.
How did you actually two meet, and was he your first choice for the lead?
We met on a different small movie, and it was, the original draft of the script, I was thinking of Colin, and I think originally it just said Colin quits his job. That was like the front page of the script. So very much first choice. Yes.
And when he was writing that, I was thinking of him too.
First choice for the role, second choice to make this movie. He was going to make a different movie. So in that way. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Why did you guys want to know all that? Okay.
Thank you so much for coming. Jesse, thank you so much for doing
Thank
this.
you guys so much. Thank you.
Genuinely,
Thank you guys so
thanks.
much.